Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's surfboard review is on the Shadow by Pyzel surfboards. I'm stoked to talk about this board. I have two custom 5.7 by 18 3/4 by 2.31 thick. Leaders come in at 25.5. I have it in both EPS and PU. This is going to be a great review, so sit back, get your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Now, John Pyzel was asked to submit a high-performance shortboard for the Stab in the Dark project that I believe will be released soon, and the guest surfer on that is Mick Fanning, from what I understand. Now, this is a limited edition board. You can see it says 33 of 50, and this is exactly what Mick Fanning was writing in the Stab in the Dark project. So it's not the exact board, it's the exact construction. And from what I understand, they had some strict guidelines to follow, but underneath this black paint, it's what the Pyzel group calls electrolyte. So this is their version of a stringless EPS foam core. It has carbon on the bottom and on the deck to control and manipulate that, a flex. And for me, when I picked this board up just for this review, I'm like, man, this board's super light, and I'm really curious to see what Mick has to say about how this board went under his feet. Now, I mentioned the Shadow is a high-performance shortboard. And what I love about what John's doing is he created a family of boards that started from the Ghost, which is that high-performance shortboard / mini step-up. A lot of us have ridden it. We say that its range is pretty high. It'll go like 4 feet to like 10 feet, and it'll do it real well. So then the next board he created was a daily driver, and that's the Phantom here. And that's why I have this board, because the Shadow really comes from in between the Ghost and the Phantom in this family. But the Phantom being a daily driver, its range is that 3 to 7 foot surf, and it does it real well. And then they also have the Gremlin, which is that 1 to 3 foot groveler. Now, I reviewed the Ghost, the Phantom, and the Gremlin last year, and all three of those boards were a favorite. Now, from what I understand, creating the Shadow, John started with looking at the Phantom and different things that he could modify about the attributes that would make it better fit that high performance look and feel for a world-class surfer, right? So right off the bat, he took about roughly a 1/2 inch in width and reduced that on the nose, right? And he added from 12 inches forward a little more rocker. Those two things right there will make this board turn tighter in the pocket, making the board just a little bit more free, not catching right in this area here with a tight turn. Now, as we move back to the center of the board, one of the major changes that John made was on the Phantom, it has its wide point front from center with a lot of foam under the chest, good for paddling. He moved it back to dead center. Now, this is going to make for crisper turns, but he did leave a lot of foam under the front foot right here, so you could still have that good paddling, and it will also help you get through those flat spots with a little bit more foam under that front foot. Now, the rail design still feels the same to me as the Phantom. And maybe a little tapered right here, maybe looks a bit like that right there, and it felt great. Now, as we move into the tail end of the board, you'll see there's been a reduction in surface area in the tail, making for more high performance turns. And it's also got a bump or a hip right here for something to pivot off of. Now, these have been great changes, and it's pretty cool to see a world-class shaper change the attributes of a daily driver, and now we have a high-performance shortboard. Now, I talked about the tail a little bit. I didn't mention rocker because this is where John's done something pretty cool. Because he didn't change the concaves. And the Phantom, what he did was on the Phantom, he added a little bit more single concave here, but just in the middle, which made kind of a flat spot right here. And I always talk about staged rocker, which is relatively flat in the belly, or is it continuous, right? Well, because he did that here in the middle, he kept that relatively straight. So when I'm planing down the line and I'm going fast, I'm going to get that speed because he added that increase of single concave here, but he added a little bit of rail curve here in the middle. And that's really important when you talk about a high performance shortboard. When you have that curve in the rail, it makes the board loose under your front foot, and it also gives you traction. So I noticed that it had that speed that the Phantom has, and it also had that traction. And as you move back into the tail rocker, we know that the Phantom and the Ghost has a good amount of tail rocker, so that way you have that performance feel. Now I want to talk about these two boards and how they felt under my feet. We'll start with the concave, because I didn't finish that earlier, is that it's running a single concave all the way through with a light double between the fins with a little bit of V out here in the tail right here. And the reason I wanted to bring that back up again is because the board goes rail to rail so easy. It does have good flow, and for me, in the preference, which did I prefer one over the other, I really favored the EPS. A bit of it is the waves that we had to surf, the size. I really like how lightweight this board is, and I can put it where I want real fast. And it also has that flare or pop in and out of my turns. And when I get into like a high performance shortboard, surfing where I normally surf, I feel like if we're comparing speed from the Shadow to the Phantom, well, the Phantom's gonna be faster. Why? It has more surface area in the tail, right? And it's a little bit wider up in here, so it just seemed to carry more speed on the Phantom, but I felt like I could offset that with the EPS. So both boards felt good. When the wave was steep, I could hit it and it had the pop, but when the waves got a little bit soft or went flat, I really liked the EPS in those flat sections because that's the flare pop I'm looking for, right? Now, we can't just discount the PU altogether. I'll tell you what I did like about the PU is we did shoot on one day when there was a lot of wind and chop and it was a lot of texture. And that's when you want the weight of a PU under your feet, right? So when you come off the bottom or I have a lot of speed and there's some bump or chop on the surface, this board has that weight that is substantial enough to settle that rail down and keep it engaged so I can still do the turns I want to do. But if I'm choosing between the two, I like the EPS better. This suits my surfing and where I surf on a regular basis. Now I want to talk about the fins I chose in the EPS using the FCS2 plugs. I've been dying to try or ride these Mick Fannings in the neocarbon more. And since we got waves in the 2 to 4, 5 foot range, this is a great fin for that. I'm getting that extra flare and pop in and out of my turns along with the EPS. These felt great. They have that good amount of rake, nice tip, so they're solid. They feel really good when they're engaged. And I feel like I have good control even with a little bit more flex. Then the next thing I wanted to try was the Julian Wilson Air Core fins. Now this is a lighter construction than maybe the Performance Core, and it's a little bit stiffer. So what I did was I used a large side fin with a medium center fin. It keeps the board nice and playful, and these also have a good amount of rake. And I felt like these maybe had maybe a tad more release, but with both sets having a lot of rake to them, I felt like I could get away with that because this board has good rail curve. So it feels loose under my feet already, and I can get this board to do exactly what I want it to do. Now I want to talk about the fins I chose in futures. I went straight for the John John since we reviewed the Ghost, the Phantom, and the Gremlin. I thought it would be appropriate to start with these first. Now, I really like this fin. It's growing on me, and I'll tell you why. It's a neutral fin, so not too much rake, not too upright. It's dead smack in the middle, so it's going to pivot quick, and it's going to give me those nice, good carves. And since it's a control series fin with a low ride number, I'm going to get consistency in my turns, and it's going to be predictable. And I really like that, and I think that's a great fin to start with a high-performance shortboard. But as we started to surf some choppy waves, I thought, you know, I kind of want to get out of this fin and try something, so I went with the AM1. This is a medium fin. This is going to have a bit more rake to it, right? And it has that smaller center fin, so it's nice, loose, and playful. And I thought, okay, what am I looking for here? Well, because there's less fin depth in the water, I feel like I can get the tail a little bit more free, and with that PU, a little bit more weight settling down, this was a great combination in that textured surf for me. They felt great. So let's look at some choppy waves together. Nice first turn right there. This is the PU. It's probably not the ideal size for this board, but the board's still going good. Throwing good spray. This a nice turn. Wave goes flat, but the board still got a little spice right there. That looked good. Good turn right there. Able to throw it up on that whitewash again real quick. But for me, you can see there's some texture on the surface and the board's trying to get disengaged, but still able to do good turns and project down the line real well. So let's look at some clean waves. Nice first turn right there. This is the PU. Good turns. The wave's a little flat, but you can see the board's doing good turns, but doesn't have that flare or spunk to it. Look at this. The rest of these waves are EPS. First turn was really good. Second turn's good. Watch the board start to take off as the wave sets up. Nice release, good spray. I feel like because the board's so light, I can get those turns in real quick. See, these are smaller waves for a high-performance shortboard, and the board's just going great, has good speed, good flow. Watch this roundhouse right here. Able to just stick my hand in the water, pivot around, and nail that section. This little wave, look at the flare. That's the EPS. It feels so good. Here's a little bit bigger wave. Just checking the projection, really nice. There's the pop too. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's review on the Shadow. Special shout out thanks to John Pyzel for sending these two boards down for review. And I also want to thank the Pyzel San Clemente Surf Shop guys for allowing me to grab the limited edition Shadow and the Phantom just to compare notes so we can all see the differences. Look, if you like the show, subscribe. You can also find us at surfandshow.com. That's it for today. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.
What kind of people you raise? What kind of people will you raise? Sometimes I'm dreaming, sometimes I ain't. I'm just trying to see what life living and everything you do. It seems like the ocean, it's drifting you abroad.